I was standing there, hidden just out of sight, my heart pounding. The woman I was paying to care for my mother, she was yelling. But not at my mother. She was yelling at my sister. And what I heard her say next shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. To really get the shock of that moment, you have to understand what I was expecting to find when I came home. Section 1, The Golden Cage. Voiceover, Alex. My name is Alex Miller, and for the last 20 years, my life has been all about numbers. Stock prices, profit margins, net worth. I was the kid from the wrong side of the tracks who clawed his way to the top of a glittering skyscraper. I built an empire in logistics and tech, a world of cold, hard data. And I was good at it. So good, I convinced myself that money was a shield. I thought if I just made enough, I could protect the people I loved from anything. Wrap them in comfort, insulate them from the real world. What a fool I was. The person I wanted to protect most was my mother, Eleanor. She wasn't just my mom, she was my anchor. The one person who believed in me, even when I was a scrawny kid with holes in his shoes and impossible dreams. When my father left, she worked 2 jobs, her hands raw and tired, but her smile for me never faded. She taught me my mind was my sharpest tool and my integrity was my greatest asset. She was vibrant and funny, sharp as a tack. Her garden was her sanctuary, and her laugh was the soundtrack of my childhood. Then, Alzheimer's came. It didn't arrive like a storm. It was more like a fog, slowly rolling in and hiding the brilliant woman I knew. First, it was forgotten keys. Then, the same stories on repeat. Then, one day, she looked at me with a flicker of confusion, a brief moment where her own son was a stranger. It was the most terrifying moment of my life. My response was what it always was, I threw money at the problem. I wasn't equipped for the emotional chaos, for the slow, painful goodbye. So I did what I did best. I bought solutions. I renovated a wing of my sprawling, empty mansion on the coast, sparing no expense. It was a palace within a palace, state-of-the-art medical gear, an ocean view, walls painted her favorite soft blue. I told myself it was the best way to keep her safe. I hired a team of caregivers from an expensive agency. I hired dietitians, physical therapists, neurologists. I built a golden cage, thinking the fancy bars would make it feel like a home. My sister, Chloe, and her husband, Mark, were supposed to be my eyes and ears. I'd set them up years ago, bought them a house, gave Mark a cushy, do-nothing job at my company. Their lives were free of the financial struggles I'd known. All I asked for in return was one thing, oversee Mom's care. On our weekly calls, Chloe was always so grateful, so seemingly devoted. "Oh, Alex, of course. Anything for Mommy," she'd say. She'd send me these glowing, sugar-coated reports. "Mom had a wonderful day. The caregivers are fantastic. She's so peaceful." I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. It let me board the next flight to Singapore or Dubai with a clear conscience. And then there was Sarah. To be honest, I barely noticed her at first. Her file popped up in my email. Sarah Jennings. Experienced caregiver. Excellent references. I approved the hire without a second thought. She was a black woman, a bit older, with a kind face in her photo. In my head, she was just another part of the expensive machinery I'd put in place. An employee. A function. A cost on a spreadsheet. I had no idea she was the only real human in the entire equation. I had no idea she was about to hold a mirror up to my life and show me the monster I'd become. Section 2, The Crack in the Foundation. The call came on a Tuesday. I was in a glass boardroom in Hong Kong, overlooking Victoria Harbour, deep in the final hours of a merger that would add another zero to my net worth. My phone, set to only let a few key numbers through, buzzed on the table. It was the landline from my mother's wing. I frowned, annoyed, and declined the call. A minute later, it buzzed again. Voicemail. I ignored it. For 3 more hours, I was Alex Miller, Titan of Industry. We hammered out the details, shook hands, popped the champagne. The deal was done. I should have been ecstatic, right? But I just felt empty. A deep, hollow nothing. The thrill was gone, replaced by this gnawing anxiety. Later that night, in my sterile hotel suite, I finally remembered the voicemail. I put the phone to my ear, expecting a nurse with a routine update. What I heard was chaos. A clatter, like a phone being dropped. A faint TV in the background. And underneath it all, a sound that froze my blood. It was my mother's voice, thin and weak, but it was her. She was crying. And then, a single word, distorted but clear enough to pierce through 20 years of my detachment. Help. And then the line went dead. I played it again. And again. Was I imagining it? Was it just the TV? My brain, the data guy, tried to rationalize it. But my gut, a part of me I'd ignored for years, was screaming. Something was wrong. I called Chloe immediately. She picked up on the third ring, her voice bright and a little tipsy. Alex. To what do we owe the honor? Did the deal close? We should celebrate. Chloe, I got a weird call from Mom's room. Oh, that? She probably knocked the phone over. You know how she is. Sarah said she was a little agitated today, but she's sleeping like a baby now. Don't you worry your big, important head about a thing. Her words were meant to suit the worried billionaire brother, and for a second, it worked. I told myself I was overreacting. But after we hung up, the word echoed in my mind. Help. I looked out at the glittering Hong Kong skyline, and I felt utterly alone. I had built an empire, but the foundation of my life, my mother, was cracking, and I was on the other side of the world. In that moment, the merger, the money, the prestige, it all turned to ash. I made a decision. I didn't call my assistant. I didn't reschedule. I went online and booked the first flight back to California, leaving in 3 hours. I told no one I was coming. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't following a schedule. I was following a feeling. A feeling of pure, cold dread. I landed at a private airfield just after midnight. The familiar salty air of the coast did nothing to calm my nerves. I took a cab to my own estate, then walked the long driveway, my suitcase rolling silently behind me. The house was a dark monolith against the moon, a monument to wealth and loneliness. Every window was dark, including the ones in my mother's wing. A cold dread coiled in my stomach. I let myself in with my private key. The cavernous marble foyer was silent and cold. The air was still, sterile, not like a home, but like a museum after hours. I moved like a ghost through my own house, my heart hammering against my ribs. As I got closer to the east wing, I heard it. A low, gentle sound. A hum. My mother's door was ajar, a sliver of warm light spilling out. I crept closer, holding my breath, and peered through the crack. The scene inside stopped me cold. My mother was propped up in bed against a mountain of pillows. And right next to her, in an armchair, was Sarah. She was the one humming, a soft, old spiritual I vaguely remembered from my childhood. She was patiently spooning what looked like warm applesauce into my mother's mouth. There now, Eleanor, Sarah murmured, her voice a soothing melody. Just one more bite. It's sweet. You love apples. My mother, who I thought was lost in the fog, turned her head slightly towards Sarah. Her eyes were unfocused, but her face was calmer than I had seen it in years. She opened her mouth for the last spoonful. The room was immaculate. The air smelled of lavender. Soft classical music, the kind my mom always loved, played from a small speaker. This wasn't a hospital room. It was a sanctuary. Relief washed over me, so strong it almost buckled my knees. I was wrong. I was a paranoid fool. Chloe was right. Everything was fine. I felt a pang of guilt for my suspicion, for my dramatic return. I decided not to disturb them. The peace in that room felt too sacred to break. I retreated as silently as I'd come, went to my own unused wing of the mansion, and fell into a troubled sleep. The image of Sarah and my mother burned into my mind. The next morning, I woke with a new plan. I wouldn't reveal myself yet. I would stay hidden. I'd be a fly on the wall for one full day. I needed to erase the doubt that the voicemail had planted in my mind. I wanted to see a full day of this amazing care for myself. I had no idea I was about to watch a day from hell. Around 9, I heard the crunch of tires on the driveway. From my window, I saw my sister's flashy SUV pull up. Chloe and Mark got out, dressed in expensive workout clothes, looking like they were stopping by on their way to the country club. I slipped into the small, hidden office next to my mother's sitting room, separated by a one-way mirror I had installed for security. I'd never used it. Today, I would. Chloe and Mark breezed into the room, their voices loud and jarring. "Good morning, Mommy," Chloe chirped, kissing the air 2 feet from my mother's cheek. My mom, who had been sitting calmly, flinched at the noise. Mark was already scrolling on his phone. "Hey, Eleanor," he mumbled without looking up. Chloe ran a hand over a table. "God, it always has that sick old person smell in here, doesn't it?" she muttered to Mark, loud enough for anyone to hear. My blood ran cold. There was no smell. I had just been in there. It smelled of lavender. Just then, Sarah entered with a tray. She smiled warmly. "Good morning, Eleanor. I have your breakfast." Chloe immediately turned on her. "Is that all she's getting? Oatmeal again? It looks like wallpaper paste." Sarah's smile didn't falter. Her voice was calm. "It's the steel-cut oats with pureed fruit, just like the dietitian prescribed. It's easiest for her to swallow." Chloe scoffed. "Whatever. It's not like she can taste it anyway." As Sarah patiently began to feed my mother, her back was turned for a moment. I saw Chloe lean over, snatch a piece of buttered toast from the tray, and pop it into her own mouth. "Waste of good bread," she whispered to Mark, who snickered. I stood behind the glass, frozen. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was casual cruelty. This was a deep, rotting disrespect hidden behind a mask of loving concern. The glowing reports, the cheerful phone calls, it was all a lie. The foundation of my world didn't just have a crack in it. It was a sinkhole. And I was staring right into the abyss. The rest of the day was a masterclass in cruelty, and I had a front row seat. After their 10-minute performance, Chloe and Mark didn't leave. They settled into the plush sofas in my mother's sitting room like it was their own private lounge. They turned the massive flat-screen TV to a 24-hour news channel, blaring reports of conflict and disaster. Shouting pundits filled the once peaceful room. My mother, visibly agitated, started rocking back and forth, her hands twisting in her lap. They didn't even look at her. They were glued to their phones, laughing loudly at memes while my mother was trapped in a cage of noise. I watched, my fists clenched. This was the care I was paying for. This was my sister's oversight. It wasn't just neglect, it was torture. From my hiding spot, I accessed the home security cameras on my tablet. I became a spy in my own home. I saw Sarah come back in. She took one look at my mother's terrified face and the blaring TV. Without a word, she walked over and turned it off. "What the hell?" Chloe snapped. "We were watching that." "Eleanor is distressed," Sarah said, her voice calm but with an edge of steel. "This is her space. It needs to be calm." Chloe looked at Sarah like she was a bug. It's our mother. We know what's best for her. Sarah didn't argue. She simply knelt by my mother's side and gently rubbed her hands. It's all right, Eleanor, she whispered. The noise is gone. She started humming again, that same soulful tune. Within minutes, my mother's rocking stopped. Chloe watched, sneering. Then she pulled out her phone and made a call. I listened, my rage a burning pressure behind my eyes. Jessica, you will not believe this, Chloe said, her voice dripping with venom. I'm here at the mausoleum, doing my duty. God, it's such a drag. I swear, I'm spending my inheritance just on gas driving over here. No, she's the same. Just a vegetable, sitting in her chair. Honestly, the sooner this is all over, the better. Mark and I have our eyes on a place in Aspen, but we can't touch anything until we sell this place and liquidate the estate. A vegetable. She called our mother a vegetable. The greed, the utter lack of love, it was breathtaking. The afternoon got even uglier. Another caregiver arrived, a woman named Brenda, hired by Chloe a few months ago. I watched on camera as Brenda and Chloe stood in the hallway. I just don't get why he insists on having her on staff, Brenda said, nodding her head toward the room where Sarah was. Chloe sighed. I know. Alex reads some article about diversity and suddenly he thinks he's a saint. You know what they can be like. I wouldn't be surprised if she's pocketing things. Keep an eye on the silver, will you? Oh, I do, Brenda assured her. And her attitude. The other day, she told me I wasn't changing the linens properly. Can you believe the nerve? The racism was so blatant, so casual, it took my breath away. It wasn't just about greed. It was a deep-seated prejudice that saw Sarah not as a professional, but as something to be suspected. And my own sister was at the heart of it. That rage was a cold, hard fury I hadn't felt since I was a kid fighting my way out of poverty. I looked at the image of Sarah on my tablet, gently brushing my mother's hair, unaware of the poison being spoken about her just feet away. If you've ever felt that fire of injustice for someone, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Because what happened next, what Sarah did, you need to hear this. The final straw came late in the afternoon. Chloe was getting ready to leave. She walked over to my mother's antique jewelry box on her dresser. It was full of pieces my father had given her, things she treasured. Chloe opened it and pulled out an emerald necklace, my mother's favorite. She held it against her own neck, admiring herself in the mirror. From the depths of the fog, a flicker of the old Eleanor emerged. My mother's eyes focused on the necklace. A low whimper escaped her lips. No, she said, her voice a fragile whisper. Mine. Chloe turned, annoyed. Oh, mother, be quiet. What are you going to do with it? It's just sitting here collecting dust. I might as well get some use out of it. She started to clasp the necklace around her neck. My mother's whimpers grew louder. She tried to push herself up, her hands reaching out feebly. No, please. I had seen enough. I was about to burst out of that office and unleash hell. But before I could move, someone else did. Section 5, The Roar of a Lioness. Sarah stepped into the room. She saw the scene at a glance, Chloe with the necklace, my mother in distress. She placed her tray down silently and walked directly to my sister. She stood between Chloe and my mother, a quiet but unbreachable wall. Mrs. Miller, Sarah said, her voice low, but carrying an authority that silenced the room. Please step away from your mother. You are upsetting her. Chloe laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. Excuse me. I don't believe I was talking to you. You are the help. Remember your place. Sarah didn't flinch. She held Chloe's gaze, and the power dynamic in the room shifted entirely. My place, Sarah said, her voice now like iron, is here. Your brother, Mr. Miller, pays me to care for and protect this woman. And right now, I am protecting her from you. Chloe's jaw dropped. Sarah continued, her words sharp and clear. You have ignored her all day. You have subjected her to noise and stress. You have spoken about her as if she is not here. And now, you are trying to steal her property. You will not distress her any further. Put the necklace back. Now. There was dead silence. Chloe was stunned. Then, the shock curdled into pure rage. How dare you, she shrieked, her voice cracking. You insignificant nobody. You are so fired. I want you out of this house in 5 minutes, you ungrateful parasite. She let loose a torrent of vile, racist slurs. That's when I moved. I pushed open the door to the hidden office and stepped into the room. I didn't shout. I just walked calmly into the center of the storm. No, Chloe, I said. My voice was dangerously quiet, and it cut through her tirade like a scalpel. She spun around. When she saw me, the color drained from her face. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. Mark shot to his feet, his eyes wide with panic. Sarah looked at me, and for the first time, I saw the emotional toll of the day on her face. Her strong facade wavered, and I saw exhaustion, hurt, but above all, a profound, tearful relief. I looked back at my sister. She's not fired, I said, my voice as cold as the marble in the foyer. But you are no longer welcome in this house. Ever again. Section 6, The Reckoning. Chloe's shock turned to frantic denial. Alex. Thank God you're here. You won't believe the things this woman was saying. She's lying, she's trying to turn you against me. She's been manipulating Mom, probably stealing from her. I didn't even look at her. I walked to the table, picked up my tablet, and turned the screen towards her. I've been here for 24 hours, Chloe, I said, my voice low and even. I came home last night. Unannounced. I let that sink in. The blood drained from her face. I saw it all, I said, my voice rising. I saw you barge in here complaining about a smell that doesn't exist. I saw you snatch the toast from our mother's plate. I saw you leave her terrified in front of that blaring TV for hours. I heard you on the phone, Chloe. I heard you call her a vegetable. I heard you talking about selling this house from under her. I heard your disgusting, racist conversation with Brenda in the hallway. And I stood right here and watched you try to steal her necklace while she begged you to stop. CTA. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And tell us in the comments, what does true family mean to you?